The cruise will take us to 7 islands. This Cuban sandwich is made with ham, roasted pork, Swiss cheese on Cuban bread with sliced dill pickle and mustard. We met this motorcycle guy while dining on Cuban fare in La Teresita in Tampa. He posed with us outside, and Mary tries out the bike. A special Mariner luncheon awaited us in the Ryndam dining room. Dutch folks oversaw our gourmet lunch dining experience. Dessert was pretty as a picture. Our assigned dinner table 150 came with a fellow guest Tom and a wine steward Mollen. The wine package Explorer was ordered, and the first bottle Toasted Head Chardonnay was brought to our table by a window, and that suited us just fine, thank you. What turned out to be a daily routine started with wake-up coffee in the stateroom at 6:30. Then Mary went to a stretching and abs exercise class, while I grabbed a plate of tropical fruit and headed up to the uppermost observation deck at the 14th level. There I would take all the port entry pictures to be seen later. After arriving at the sleepy tourist town of Key West, Florida, the plan was to do a walking tour. Free-range chickens were everywhere. The walk to the southernmost point was rather warm, but the scenery was interesting, like the Hemingway and Harry Truman houses. The line was long to stand by the marker buoy for pictures. On the way back, beer invited us to sip and enjoy while lazily walking back to the ship. That's my cup resting above the lighthouse marker. There was a sample of roasted shredded pork for Cuban sandwiches in the cup, given to me at the Old Town Grocery, where we got our beer. The pilot boat circled impatiently, waiting to get the Ryndam on its way. The first dress-up formal dinner menu had lobster tail and beef Wellington. Why choose? We got both. After the show of Las Vegas style dancing, we went to what was to become our favorite watering hole, the Ocean Bar. While sipping Manhattans, we watched couples dancing to old-time favorites. This couple impressed us dancing awards while dressed in their finery. Later we would take dancing lessons as part of the screening class for Dancing with the Stars at Sea. No surprise we weren't selected, but we did become acquainted with 3 dancers that were. Always things for sale on the Ryndam. Flea markets on the upper deck are no exception. After a walk on the special walking deck 6, it's time to relax in the deck chairs. This became a routine on sea days. Another Dutch scene in the dining room. There were always fresh flowers on the dining table. This panorama view at sea shows the bow structures and the beautiful cloud formations in a 360-degree sweep. There was no rough seas for the 2-week cruise and the temperature was the 70s. Slipping along the coast of Haiti and Dominican Republic to Puerto Rico. Some lunches are as simple as fruit and cheese served with IPL or a tasty Cassidy. Maybe sweet and sour pork works also. More chair time on the observation deck seems a natural as we head towards San Juan. El Morro or Castillo San Felipe del Morro, the old Spanish fort, is always a beautiful sight to see when entering San Juan. We will walk there from the Ryndam's berth in San Juan. We teamed up with one of the exercise ladies and her husband to take the walk. However, they decided to take the high road and us the low road along the shore. When we got to the fort, there would be a steep hill to climb up to the fort. After a long time at the fort, we headed back on the high road. Santa figurines. We engaged in Caribbean style activities in show windows. A stop at Parque de las Palomas or Park of the Pigeons attracted a flock of winged critters. The blue glazed brick street was gorgeous. The Ryndam would dock at one of 2 ports, Havensight or Crown Bay in St. Thomas. It was a short walk from the Havensight dock to the aerial tramway and a trip up to a great view of the harbor. Turned out it was Crown Bay, so other methods of touring the island was necessary. Fortunately, a safari-style taxi was available at a good price for a tour of the area around Cholla d'Amélie. A stop at Emerald Beach afforded an opportunity to wade in the Caribbean Sea. Our route took us up Skyline Drive toward the north side of the island. Viewpoints gave us good views back toward Haven Site where a larger Holland America ship is docked. Belay there landlubbers a cask of rum and a comely wench. Gives a moment to pause. More beautiful bay views. Before we head back to the Ryndam, there are 2 cruise mates walking along the street who would be finalists in the Dancing with the Stars at Sea competition. Back at the port there was a rock replica of a Dutch windmill that dominated the area. Cruising into St. John Antigua Harbour, the imposing outline of St. John Cathedral dominates the skyline. We will walk there from the dock to see what we can see. Nice walk through Antigua to see what was to be some depressing ruins. Restoration is in progress, but at a snail's pace. This caged lion is a grave marker for some prominent citizen. These flowered hedges are everywhere. Quite an imposing structure looms above us. Yes, we are in Antigua, and there's the Ryndam ready to receive us back in its bowels. Next stop is Cast St. Lucia. The walk will be over a mile to see the Church of Immaculate Conception. Quite an interesting structure outside and inside. This young lady was charming and approached us for conversation.
No, just because.
There were services taking place during our visit. In between we were able to enjoy the charm and beauty of the church. This grand tree was in the park honoring Nobel laureates, Sir William Arthur Lewis, Economics, 1979, and Honorable Derek Alton Walcott, Literature, 1992. St. Lucia is only 238 square miles. Curacao is on the horizon, and shopping in the floating market is planned. Merchants from Venezuela will come in boats each day and set up along the harbor to sell their wares. I wanted t-shirts and spices. Christmas gifts were Mary's goal. Knitted caps were a hit in the round market, and spices were 3 small bags for $1 here in the floating market. Curacao is Dutch, so Amstel beer is the brew of choice. Our lovely server is so friendly and helpful at the Vienna Beer Garden on the waterfront. Fish and chips with a French flair went well with the Amstel brew. The floating bridge was fun to walk and watch swing back and forth for ship traffic leaving the harbor for the Caribbean Sea. Here it is closing, after being wide open for a royal tanker. Back on board at deckside a grilled lunch became dust to partake. It was a good day in Curacao as evidenced by our smiles. Departure would be at 10:30, so we could enjoy the night view with all the lights. The sky was filled with smoke from oil refineries and 2 burning gas outlets. A monkey towel animal greeted us upon retiring. Next morning the ladies' exercise routine proved entertaining for me. Keep those balls moving, my dears.
And 4.
This inlet was filled with fish swimming into the channel. I love Aruba. The baby Jesus was missing, and this young man filled in nicely. His companion opted to have a camel ride. Turns out she was a singer on the Ryndam and performed at the deck party in Curacao. The Aruba iguanas keep us entertained, zipping in and out of the greenery. Another Dutch town and another Dutch beer seemed in order. Just in case of snow. Some neat Christmas decorations. What a view along the coastline. There's the Ryndam waiting for us to take us to the Grand Cayman Islands. Mary saw this tortoise-shell fossil watch and liked it. Wonder if she will get one. The sun is setting on another wonderful day in the islands. We're always close to some island, so seabirds can be seen most of the time while at sea. Our caption Wanatimer speaks to us at the caption's lunch for mariners. We sat with a couple from England we had met earlier during afternoon tea. He is a retired policeman. Last stop will be the Grand Cayman Island. This will be the only visit requiring a tender. We are all set to go and take a walk from the tender port to 7 Mile Beach. The presence of lots of seabirds is a sign of a good beach area. There's coconuts also. Seawater swimming pools abound on our route. Little pool care needed here. Here we are at the start of 7 Mile Beach. We have walked almost 3 miles to get here. Back at the port. A coconut vendor plies his wares. We will reward ourselves after the long walk with a Cayman Island brew at Margaretville. Mary checks her email. A favorite pastime when we have free Wi-Fi. A bit of cutting up at the ice sculpture on formal night, on our way back to Tampa. Sun setting on another fine day in the islands. More cutting up with Marlon the wine steward. A fine dinner for our last formal sitting. Served by Tam. Tom showed us pictures from his stingray encounter at Stingray City on the Grand Cayman. A stingray towel animal seemed appropriate after our Grand Cayman visit. Here's to our enjoyable cruise in the Caribbean. Papaya for breakfast. Yet another selfie bite on. The lady on the left was our dance instructor. Here's the Dancing with the Stars at Sea lineup. We knew 3 of the dancers. Our last cocktail in the Ocean Bar. Tequila with salt and lime. A last song by the Ocean Bar singer. Lots of old-time favorites.
Seas from the mountains, the winds around and around, looking at all we found, carry us through the sky. So smooth.
Here we are in the stateroom. Waiting to be called for disembarkation. The ship's bow camera shows us Tampa on the room monitor. We are pink for disembark time.